And when you don't know yourself, and when you don't love yourself, and when you don't know what you want, your standard is the people you hang around. Like, if you're constantly hanging around people that don't want better for themselves, and you want the tiniest things for yourself, you would think you're like, oh, I'm doing good because the people I'm around, they don't really want anything for themselves. Hello. I'm going to be talking about something very interesting to me, but I'm going to also be drinking some tea. This is what I'm drinking right now because I'm about to go to bed. So I'm going to drink the bedtime tea. I'm getting into tea recently. I just tried this one. It's the Blueberry Slim Life tea. Yeah. You know what's crazy? I wasn't going to talk about tea on this channel or this at all in this video because I was like, no one wants to hear me talk about tea. But I was like, it's my channel. I want to talk about stuff that I want to talk about and find people who enjoy the things that I enjoy. You know what I mean? Okay. Let's make this tea. Okay, so I'm going to dip my tea. Today we're going to talk about being single versus being alone, lonely. And I think like being alone is different from being lonely. I think you can be alone and not be lonely. I don't know. But I think a lot of people equate being single to being lonely, but that's because they don't know how to sit with themselves. I used to want to be in a relationship all the time, but that's because I really wasn't comfortable being alone. Not only did I want to be in a relationship all the time, I also wanted to always just have some type of friends around me. I always was surrounded by so many people, and it was so bad to the point where whenever I did spend time alone, it just felt so uncomfortable. And I think I had to realize back then that that was the very fundamental problem, was the fact that I didn't enjoy being with myself. And it's kind of like sad to admit it right now, because I feel like if anybody would have asked me to admit this some time ago, I would not have admitted it, because I would be like, oh, I love to be alone, I love to spend time alone. But I just said that because I thought that that's what people wanted to hear. But really, I knew it. When I was alone, I just felt so sad. I just felt unaccomplished. I felt like I regretted everything I did throughout the day, because anytime I would hang out with people, with so many people, and I let it get the best of me. I would say things, I would do things, I would just act out of order, because I was trying to get so much validation from people, to the point where I didn't preserve myself. I didn't care to remain who I was just because I wanted people to like me, you know? And I think it goes together. And then you get this false sense of community. You get this false sense of love and friends and friendship when you constantly, let me take this off of my wrist. I feel like it's cutting circulation. But you get this false sense of friendship and false sense of love and just care when you constantly are around people, because I don't know how to explain it. When you don't know how to be with yourself, being around people is the most comfortable thing. But now that I know how to be by myself, I actually absolutely hate being around people all the time. I don't want to say I completely hate being around people, but I don't care to be around people as much. And I don't ever think anybody should ever go from one extreme to another extreme, like, oh, always being around people, then all of a sudden switching and never being around anybody. I think that's completely, that doesn't make any sense, and I don't think anybody should do that. But I did have my time where I was on both extreme sides, and I think I'm still kind of getting out of the other extreme of never wanting to be around anybody, because we're social beings, human beings, we're social, and I think we should always try to do something social in the week, because I feel like if you spend too much time without socializing with people, you will, I don't know, I feel like we need to be around people to understand how to fully function. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. But I want to take a step back to when I was in high school. I didn't understand what people used to say when you're in high school, like, oh, don't date, you need to know who you are. And in my head, I'm like, what does knowing who you are have to do with dating? I can date and also know who I am. But if you're dating without knowing who you are, you're not dating correctly. There are lots of people that are in friendships, in relationships, and they still feel alone, you know? Like, some people are single and they feel more accomplished and more loved than people that are in relationships, because they don't know who they are. They don't know what they want out of the relationship. And then when you don't know who you are, you become insecure in whatever kind of relationship you're in. And I feel like everybody needs to go through a certain period of being alone for some time, even if that's like an hour out of your day where you specifically, look, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what has worked for me and some of my friends and people that I know. Being alone will teach you so much about yourself. And I think learning about yourself is something that I would say is the hardest subject, because you never stop learning about yourself. Like, you're always going to discover something about yourself, and you're going to be like, oh, I actually don't like that. I thought I liked that because everybody else liked it. I'm not explaining, because like when you're constantly around people and you tend to, the more you're around people, the more you tend to imitate what they're doing, whether you like it or not. It's just human nature. It's like, if I'm constantly around people that, okay, people that drink a lot, I would, even no matter how much I think I will never drink. I will never ever drink. I will find myself in situations where I'll take maybe one shot, or I'll take a cocktail here or there, and then eventually I will start normalizing taking a shot or two, because even, okay, let's say I even say I don't even drink like a lot like my friends, but I end up taking a shot or two. So to me, taking a shot or two every day or a shot or two a week is not that bad to me, because my friends drink a lot. So I'm comparing myself to my friends. And when you don't know yourself, and when you don't love yourself, and when you don't know what you want, your standard is the people you hang around. Like, if you're constantly hanging around people that don't want better for themselves, and you want the tiniest things for yourself, you would think you're like, oh, I'm doing good, because the people I'm around, they don't really want anything for themselves. So me, that I only want this little thing, I'm better. Like, let's say your friends, all they want to do, like, all of your friends don't care for their lives. They want to, like, you know, I don't know, they want to commit some kind of crime. They want to go and steal and whatever. And you're like, oh, I don't want to steal. All I want to do is lay in my bed and not do anything. But I'm not going to steal. In your head, you're comparing yourself to them and being like, oh, I'm better off because at least I'm not stealing. But you don't know yourself. I don't know how to explain it. When you don't know yourself, like, you get comfortable comparing yourself to other people. Back to the topic of being single or lonely. For the longest time, and I think about comparing yourself to other people, for the longest time, when you see people get into relationships and what it looks like, everybody wants to feel loved by someone. But how come people don't care to love themselves as much? Like, you are the longest relationship you're going to have for the rest of your life, but people don't seem to care. Like, if someone posts a video of themselves like going on a solo date and enjoying themselves and just being happy with themselves and not really like needing friends to enjoy themselves, nobody's like, oh God, I wish, oh God, when, oh my God, I just wish I was the one in this self-love relationship. People tend to want things that they feel like they need, or I don't know. We all think we need romantic relationship, and we feel like if we're in a relationship with someone who likes us, we might value ourselves more. Like, that's why some people get into relationships and they push that insecurity onto their partner. Like, if I don't think, okay, I have a scar on my face, and I'm just saying this because it is an insecurity that I used to have, and I don't have it anymore. And maybe in the past would have actually never pointed this out, because I would have never wanted anybody to actually notice it. But I don't care anymore. I have a scar on my face, and every time I was talking to somebody, or a guy, or even, I don't know, anyone, whether it was just like flirting, I hate when my piercing does that, it's just flirting or whatever, I would want them to tell me, oh, I love the scar on your face. I'd want them to love my insecurity, or I'm bigger, right? I'd want someone to be like, oh, I love your size, da, 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 da. I would be looking for someone that loves my insecurities rather than someone that loves me. That's what not being able to be by yourself does. You look for people that love your insecurities and not you. So after some time, when you start to discover who you are, you start to discover yourself, and you start to love yourself, you start to realize that all the people that you're around are people that love your insecurities. They don't love you, but you can't even blame them, because how could they love you when you weren't even presenting you to them? You're presenting your insecurities, because you overcompensating in social situations is you presenting your insecurities. You laughing at a joke you don't think is funny is you presenting your insecurities. You not telling somebody something that offended you because you didn't want them to think you were sensitive is you presenting your insecurities. A lot of things we do when we're around people that, one, are not really our friends. Two, when we don't know who we are, when we don't feel comfortable being alone. Oh, it's been 7 minutes since this has been soaked in here. Time to start drinking the tea. I want to pour it into my cute cup. Let's pour it down here so in case it makes a mess and it doesn't look unaesthetically pleasing. But this is the tea. Not even to sound disgusting, but this looks like pee. Respectfully. Anyways, yeah, so give me a second. You know when you drink something and you have to look at the back? It tastes like, how do I explain it? There it is, chamomile, cinnamon, yes. Wow. This is so good. Just give me a second to analyze. Anyways, this is not sponsored, obviously. I just started my channel, but yeah, I just think it's it's kind of sad, honestly, because when you start to discover yourself and spend more time alone and get comfortable with being alone, you realize that you never loved yourself. And I think that's one of the hardest realizations ever, is because sometimes we think we love ourselves until we do, and then you realize you never did, and you're only starting to love yourself now. I don't know how I feel about this tea. It's a very overwhelming flavor, but if it helps me sleep, I will be drinking this. Caffeine free, because I don't want to be shaking in my sleep. But yeah, and so kind of like, another thing I wanted to say is, people can only love you as much as you love yourself. People say that so much, but it's so true. It's so true. Like, imagine, I don't know, imagine I don't love myself. People can sense when you don't love yourself. And it's frustrating to love someone who doesn't love themselves, especially the ones that actually hate themselves, because you see the beauty in them every single day. You see the good things about them, but they can never see the good things about themselves. Everybody else but them sees the good things. And sometimes we're like that as well. The things that we criticize about ourselves, people don't want, either they don't notice or they love those things about us, or they want those things that we don't like about ourselves. And it's like, oh, all this time we're being insecure, but it's a strength, you know? And I think about insecurities like this. If you're something you're insecure about, one, you can either change, like weight. You can change weights. I don't know people's opinions about whether you can change your weight or not, but I believe that weight is something that can be changed. Whether that's medically, you know, whatever you need to do, weight can be changed. If it's something like a scar, if I'm insecure about my scar, what am I supposed to do about that? Like, being insecure about something you can't change doesn't make sense. And being insecure about something that you can change also doesn't make sense, because as of right now, it's on you. I don't know. And I also noticed that, like, oh my god, this flavor is actually kind of overwhelming. I wonder what it's about. Like, why does it taste like that? It has like a little, like, I don't know. It's like okay, when you drink the tea, it's like nice and everything, and then immediately you swallow, it just leaves this sweet taste that I don't really like in my mouth. I feel like I'm forcing myself to drink this, because I liked this one though. As you can see, I already tried it. This one, I'm not as sure if I like this one or not. The amount of like nutrients in tea is actually kind of insane. Look, okay, let's just read this one, because this one is short. It says that in this bedtime tea, it has chamomile flower, spearmint leaf, skullcap leaf, cardamom pod, cinnamon bark, rose hip, lavender flower, and stevia. That's what is doing that to me. The stevia leaf. The stevia leaf is what's doing that to me. The stevia leaf. That's why it's sweet. The stevia is making it sweet. Anyways, good night. I thought I was going to say good night like that. No. If you're watching my channel, me and you, we're going to be on this journey of talking and discovering ourselves and just being the best version and finding the best thing that life can offer. So good night, sleep well, and dream tight. And if it's good morning, good morning. If it's good afternoon, good afternoon. Yeah. And if you're watching this and you've never actually seen me before, I'm so glad you clicked on this video. Whether that was because of my beautiful face, the title, I don't know what else made you click on this video. Maybe you just were like, you know what, let me just see what this girl has to say. I've never seen her before. Welcome.